Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I wanted to do my little review impressions of the Brian Brown Raptor version 2. This is the one made by R.E.C. Knives, so it's really nicely well done. Brian Brown is the designer of this, so it's got a very unique Brian Brown design. If you notice, the name Raptor usually comes after some of the Air Force or jet fighters or what have you. So Raptor is a particular fighter jet. So anyways, that's where the naming comes from. The materials used on this is a titanium handle, but if you notice, this is bronze anodized and jigged, textured for the titanium scales. Beautiful, being that it's a R.E.C. or River's Edge cutlery exclusive. That is something that they like to do. That bronze anodized on the titanium, and then with the black PVD kind of blade material on here. So that's really nice. I believe this is black PVD stone washed. So that's the material on the handle, but notice something else. It's accented with zirconium. And zirconium is kind of a black, kind of brownish gray kind of thing. This is a zirconium deep mill pocket carry clip, a zirconium thumb stud, zirconium washer around here, and a zirconium back spacer. Really, really nice. A little heavier, but definitely beautiful, and is really well, very strong, very durable, and kind of a unique aesthetic, I think, that's pretty nice. The material is M390 blade steel, and we'll see here this is a hollow grind, so it's a beautiful thin edge, comes all the way to a very thin edge. Nice edge on there that's been able to easily maintain with a little bit of stropping on the leather strop, so I have enjoyed that quite a bit. And the ergonomics on here are really nice, great for handle and hold and everything like that. So beautiful blade. Kind of has a little clip point there, which is really nice. Really great place for your thumb. You can choke up really well. There's just so many nice things about that. And it does open with thumb studs. If you notice, you can do an easy front and reverse flip on this. Now, because it is a hollow grind in there, if you can get in there, you can easily do a middle finger reverse flick. So that works really nicely as well. So it gives me some options in deploying this particular knife. And that's really nice. And it does lock with a frame lock. As you can see, it's rather thin, but the handle is thin, so you know you would think that this is almost too thin, but it gives you a good ergonomic grip, especially if you choke up. You've got a really good strong presentation for a good push cut here, and that's really nice. But the frame lock here, we look at that, looks like a good, I would say a good 20%, maybe 25% lockup. Really good contact, no blade rock whatsoever, really solid. You can see going into that detent. Clicks right in really well, no detent lash or anything like that, so that's really nice. And it closes beautifully. You can just drop it, and it has just a beautiful, nice drop. And a lot of that has to do with that I put in skiff washers. These are the skiff washers you can get from Skiff on their website, and these are the Rocket Glides. This is the pivot is 3/16 of an inch for pivot. It's 0.189 inches for the inner diameter. Outer diameter is 0.370 inches. The thickness is 0.05 inches, and it's the 11 ball count, and it's the 1/16 of an inch ball. So those are the ones you want to get for your Brian Brown Raptor 2, and these should fit all the Brian Brown Raptor version 2 and all the exclusive at different places. So something to think about. Let's get into the measurements. Let's see how much this weighs. All right, so we'll go ahead and get a measurement. So we're looking at 3.53 ounces. So 3.53 ounces, not too light, not too heavy, but there we go. So let's go ahead and get a measurement on the length of the blade. As you can see on here, we're looking at a blade length around 3 inches going to where the back of the handle is. We're probably, I'm going to say 3 1/3 inches, maybe 3 1/4 inches is probably, I can go back a little further here. Yeah, so okay, well, let me redo that. So we're looking at probably a little over 3 1/8 of an inch, or maybe 3 1/16 of an inch. No, 3 1/8 of an inch for the blade, and we're definitely probably at 3 1/2 inches. So technically, if you're looking at ratios, that's right on with the 3.53, so it's pretty good. Overall length of the knife is just shy of 7 3/4 of an inch, right? And the handle length where you put your hand inside is about 3 3/4 of an inch, so there you go. But if you choke up, you definitely have a nice choke up. You're going to have about a 4 1/2 inch handle there with the choke up, so that's pretty nice. All right, so let's go ahead and do blade thickness on here. Let's see what that blade thickness is. So we'll go ahead and zero that out. All right, come on now. There we go. All right, so we'll zero that out. Let's see what the blade thickness is. So we're looking at Oh, we're at the wrong unit of measure. Here we go. All right, 0.1445. So 145 hundredths of an inch. So it's right between 1/10 and 2/10 of an inch. Pretty thick blade. You can see that in there. That's a pretty stout blade that they've got in there. I mean, and it comes out to a very strong tip here, because that definitely comes out, but it's definitely thin at the edge. And that part of that is that compound grind. The compound grind is down here low. It's really thin. You can see that. But up here it comes pretty strong. So you've got a good strong tip for if you're poking into boxes or packages. Definitely can use that really, really well. So I do like that. All right, so knife category. This knife is going to definitely be in the high end. So it's around $375. And so you're looking at a knife that's definitely over the $275 mark. And so I would call this a high-end knife, but it's definitely a very nice high-end knife. I'll give you a little spoiler. I do like this a lot. What about the purpose? This is, I think, a very good use knife. It is solid with the frame lock. It's got a good grip. So now, some people with gigantic, enormous hands, you might find this a little small. I know some people complain they feel it's thin, but I find, now I've got medium to medium large hands. So they're large and width-wise, because I have, meaty fingers, but they're they're large width-wise, but they're medium length-wise. So they're large, meaty-wise, thick-wise, but they're large, medium length-wise. And so a large to extra large, I think, would find this comfortable. Now, if you want to wrap all the way around, I guess, that if you're down here, it may feel like it's a little small. If you really want a big, giant grip on a knife, I don't mind having a full grip around, but especially if I choke up, I feel really solid. And this little part right here, this little relief up here by the by the swedge, this swedge up here, it's like a perfect little grip for your thumb. You see that? It's like your thumb's just places right there for a good push cut, right? It does have jimping back up here for if you're back here, so you definitely have jimping, so you're not going to slip. But up here, it's more of a precision cut. You're doing this kind of thing, your finger is going to be lodged in there, so nice and tight, so you're pushing that way. I think that's really nice. I would say that's a purpose, really, kind of cuts. I can do in cut in plastic, envelopes, letters, everything. The edge is just great. M390 steel. I know it is PVD coated, PVD stonewashed. I believe it's what they called it. Really, really nice. But I will say that it cuts really well. I think it's very utilitarian. You can really use this knife. I would say it's good to medium to hard use. And when I say hard use, I'm not talking about you're going out bushwhacking. You're going to go out and cut trees and logs and stuff like that. If you're going to do that, go get yourself a fixed blade. Don't use a folding knife on that. I mean, if you're in an emergency and you had to do it, I guess, yeah, this is pretty solid. I think this would do a good job, but it's not the intended purpose, right? And what most of us are, 95 to 90% of us, we're going to be using this to open letters, envelopes, Amazon boxes, packages, cat litter, dog food, cat food, fertilizer, dirt for their yard. You name it, whatever. We're going to be using it for different things like that. And that's really what the knife is for. Christmas presents, birthday presents, whatever. So anyways, that's that. I think it's a great knife, and I think it'll meet all those purposes, and it works really, really, really well. And you did notice, by the way, here's the Brian Brown Design logo. I didn't talk about that, but that's right there. All right, so the ergos and feel. What do I think about the ergos and feel? So to me, talk a little about the ergos. I know some people with a very large hand have complained. They don't feel like it's really comfortable. For me, it's fantastic. I love this feel. It's really great. The jimping here holds it really solid. I'm not worried about it rocking out, and especially if I choke up and I get a really solid grip up here. It feels really, really solid. I enjoy that. It is not too thin at all. I don't think so. I mean, if you have triple extra large hands and your hands are the size of, Shaq or something like that, Shaquille O'Neal, then yeah, this might be small, but even then, I think you'd probably want a 12-inch K-bar. That would be your little itty-bitty, ankle knife, and you probably need an 18-inch blade to be a normal blade, whatever. Anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the, for the rest of us who use a knife like this, if you're very, very large hands, this would be a great small knife for you, maybe. But I still think it's a great knife. The ergos feel fantastic. The handle design is wonderful. It is kind of chamfered around the edges. It's smooth. It's not hard. You can see it's definitely contoured. And let's see that. You can show that. So it's contoured. This design, I'm going to go ahead and close it. This design is definitely contoured around here. So yeah, even though it is chamfered here along the edges nicely, even with the jig pattern, the jig pattern is not very aggressive. It's not going to rip anything up. It's very smooth. But it is chamfered, and the contour really works well. well. So that to me makes it feel really comfortable. The deployment and the design I like a lot. Now I do like multiple deployments, right? So the reverse thumb stud and the front thumb stud is really nice. Works wonderfully. I can get my finger in here to do the middle finger reverse flick, so it kind of gives me an alternative way to open it. In some ways I wish it was a front flipper. As you could see right here, you could easily make that a front flipper if that went up just a hair higher, and that would not have taken much. It just needed to go up just a hair with a little bit of rounding right there. You could have had yourself a nice front flipper. It would have been nice. I like multiple deployments, but it's Brian Brown design, and I'm not sure if he does front flippers or not, but at least not in this design. There's one that's similar to Trogon that's made by R.E.C. I like that one a little bit better. I like this one a lot. They're both different and they're very unique, but if you're talking about fidget ergos and feel for the fidget factor, that one might be a little bit better. So if you're torn between the two and you have an option, maybe look at that one. I mean, we're both about the same price range, right? But this one is unique, and if you like Brian Brown's design, I would say get this one because it really is very, very nice. The closing design I love, especially since I put those skiff washers in there. Closes beautifully, smooth. And I'll tell you what, I think skiff washers are worth it. I mean, it still had really great close. It was definitely allowing it to drop nicely, but not as smooth as this. So access to the lock bar there is some cutaway. You can see that they've done a little cutout. It's got a nice angle. So the angle going in there, you're going in, you're pushing down. It is comfortable. It's not going to dig into your hands, not going to cut into your fingers. So that's really important. I think anytime you design a frame lock, you want to make sure your ergos are really comfortable. You either have a cutaway, which you can see here, yeah, it's a little bit higher. You can't quite see. It's just a little bit higher here. Not much, but just a hair, a little bit above that, right? But this, cutting this out is what really makes it work for this particular knife. So that's nice. What else? The fidget factor. Yeah, the fidget factor is great. I mean, I can fidget this one all day long. I love fidgeting this one. Even over here left-handed, can fidget with this one. Works really nice. Now, as a lefty, you got to be careful about putting a little pressure on here. It's not reversible, so this is right hand tip up only. But you've got to be careful over here. I use the pocket clip, kind of hold that on there so I'm not pushing down on the frame lock to make it a little more challenging, because if you come over here and your hand's on here, you are going to put a little pressure on there. You can kind of probably overcome it, but it makes it more challenging, and after a while it will be a little uncomfortable. If I use the deep mill pocket carry clip, it works usually very nicely. Of course, if I'm doing this and talking at the same time, it's a challenge, just like chewing gum and walking, right? Anyways, so overall fidget factor I think is fantastic. I enjoy it, and I love the action, which makes it just a lot of fun. And the sound is really nice. You can hear this. Real quick, I'm going to go next to the mic. And again, to open and close. It's just really nice. It has a really nice sound to it. R.E.C. does a great job. And Brian Brown had some really nice design here, and I think he worked it out really well with them. So, great. My overall thoughts, and is it recommended? Yeah, my overall thoughts are this is a fantastic knife. Is it recommended? Absolutely. It's going to be it's a recommended knife. It's going to be a high-end recommended knife. Absolutely, 100%. Really like it. It's a lot of fun to carry. Very comfortable, by the way. This is also smooth. This is not sharp like sometimes when they have to cut out on the bar lock here. That can be really sharp and cut into your pants, and this is smooth. It's not, it's kind of chamfered, if you will. It's not chamfered, but it's, it's smoothed out. It's not as sharp where it's going to like scrape your nail or something, so that's nice. Overall thoughts are, I love this knife. I do. I really do. And it's comfortable in many ways. It's comfortable to carry. It's comfortable, in and out of the pocket. It's comfortable to use. It fits your hand really well. At least my hand fits really well. So I like that. I highly recommend it. I think if you can get a hold of one, get it. If you can get the R.E.C exclusive, you might have to go to the secondhand market to get one of these. You're not going to get this really on the on the market right now. Like, for instance, I'm trying to get some more knives and some other things. So, this one, because I have the Trogon, might be up for sale. I've enjoyed it. I was really torn whether I was going to keep it or not, but I might be selling this one so I can get another knife. Anyways, so that's that. Sorry, I have a little something inside of there. So, but, I think it's a great knife. I've hardly used this one, so, as you can tell, I haven't beat this one up a lot. So this is one of those, I was probably on the, on the edge whether I was going to keep it or not. If I'm going to keep it and I love the knife, I'm going to beat it up and use it. I hadn't really done that with this knife because I was on the edge with that. There's a few knives that I have that I really like, would like to keep, but they're just, I'm on the edge, right? So I don't know if I'm going to
keep it, so I'm going to take a little nicer care of it because it might be more of a, I'm checking this out to see if I like it, and if I don't, then we're going to resell it and pass it on to someone who may enjoy it a whole lot more, even though I may love this knife and think it's fantastic. Now, I will tell you one thing here about overall design and thoughts. Brian has absolutely utilized the full extent of the scales, or the handles, to the blade length. I mean, he is like at the closest you could possibly get, and still fully covered up that blade. You're not going to get cut, but look how close. I don't know if you can see that, how close that is, and it's not anywhere closer. It's going to cut my hand if I go in here. I mean, that is how to utilize the best possible blade into the hand. It's just phenomenal. That's why you get such a nice long blade with this hand. Just really fantastic. So yeah, I enjoyed this knife. I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's going to be my recommended knives, recommended higher end knives, so definitely. And as with anything, if you find this content fun, interesting, or worthwhile, would you please consider liking this video? And if you like this video, maybe help subscribe to my channel for more content. That really helps me out a lot. Both the likes and the subscribing allows me to do more content, obviously. And then if you're already subscribing, maybe consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of upcoming content. And, you know, that way you will know when I drop a new video. And then also maybe, if you haven't already done so, maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's robs_nerdy_knives on Instagram. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day and a great week. Bye.